You know, guys, one of the things that helps keep crypto relentlessly fascinating, especially during times like these, is the huge range of weird and often wonderful characters that populate this space. As any good writer will tell you, when you're coming up with a story, you need strong characters to bring it to life. And I think it's fair to say that crypto is blessed with an embarrassment of riches when it comes to personalities. I suppose this kind of makes up for all the other riches which seem to have gone walkabout recently? No? Well, worth a shot. Anyhow, it's pretty ironic that the person who started all this, the founding father, or mother, the oest of the Gs, is now completely incognito. We long ago passed the point of wanting to know who Satoshi really is. It would almost certainly be bad for Bitcoin if their identity was revealed, and, let's face it, there's no way they could possibly be any weirder or more fascinating than many who have appeared in their wake. From libertarian freethinkers like Jesse Powell to orange-pilled corporate big beasts turned Bitcoin maxis like St. Michael of Sailor. From brilliant and unashamedly geeky one-offs like Vitalik to hyper-confident masters of the universe like Mike Novogratz and Cathie Wood. And heck, if you've read either Camilla Russo's or Laura Shin's brilliant accounts of the early days of Ethereum, you'll know the folks involved there could keep a whole herd of psychologists busy for months.
There's enough material there for an entire conference.
Even the villains of the space, those who have, for one reason or another, set the industry back in some way, are often fascinating people, albeit perhaps for all the wrong reasons. Yes, SBF, I'm looking at you. And that's before you get to all the influencers and general personalities in the space, many of whom are clearly nuttier than a shipping container full of macadamias.
Oh well, that's why I'm a professional, right?
Now, it would be great, I suppose, if I could simply sit here for the next few hours and go through all the completely batshit people in this industry, but it's time to get on with the real purpose of this video, which is to talk about someone who, as far as I'm aware, is neither nutty or particularly larger than life. But this is someone who is perhaps one of the most influential people in this industry, who wields more power than all but a handful of others, but who, despite all this, remains something of a mystery. He tends to keep a fairly low profile in general, but has found his name dragged into the headlines in recent weeks as the empire he has built has started to wobble. His name? Barry Silbert, CEO of Digital Currency Group. So, who is this guy? Where did he come from? How did he get so powerful? And is his star now on the wane? Okay, well, let's kick off with some quick Barry facts. Barry grew up in Maryland and at the age of just 17 became the youngest ever person to qualify as a stockbroker and presumably spent the next few years getting all the girls at parties. He left college with a degree in finance back in 1998 and went to work as an investment banker before quitting and setting out on his own. Now, he made his name with Second Market, a platform which allowed its corporate clientele to raise funds by trading in illiquid assets like restricted stocks, such as those in private companies, bankruptcy claims, and later, tellingly, Bitcoin. Second Market's success put Barry on Fortune magazine's 40 Under 40 list in 2011, having been hailed as a technology pioneer by none other than the World Economic Forum the previous year. Yikes. Now, Barry's orange pill moment seems to have come in 2012, and by 2015 he had sold Second Market to Nasdaq, having already set up Grayscale in 2013. Grayscale is, of course, famous for its Bitcoin Trust, which was the vehicle that first truly opened BTC up to institutional investors. For a long, long time, this remained the only way that most institutions could get any sort of regulated exposure to Bitcoin, and the GBTC shares issued against Grayscale's actual BTC holdings were in high demand. So much so that Grayscale now holds around 650,000 BTC worth well over $10.5 billion at this point in time. That GBTC shares themselves are no longer anything like as popular as they once were is a topic for another video. So, owning Grayscale alone would be enough to make Barry one of the most powerful and wealthy people in crypto, but he didn't stop there. In 2015, he also set up Digital Currency Group, or DCG, the company which is now so big it counts Grayscale as one of its subsidiaries. Other subsidiaries include Genesis Trading, CoinDesk, the Luno Exchange, and crypto mining company Foundry. And that's before DCG's roster of other investments, which includes some of the biggest and most visible entities in crypto. DCG is, in other words, a big deal, and Barry is the man behind it all, meaning he joined the Crypto Billionaires Club last year and, well,
I'm kind of a big deal.
That said, many in the crypto community are wary of or outright hostile to Barry, given the fact that he's done more than most to bring institutional players into the space. Yes, that has meant a whole flood of cash, but it's also led to fears that the big guys are taking the industry over and moving it towards becoming just another arm of the existing financial system. Barry may be an OG, but that doesn't make him a man of the people. Anyhow, Barry's name is in the news at the moment because of the troubles that Genesis Trading and DCG by extension are facing as a result of crypto's truly crappy 2022. I'll link to a couple of videos below that explain all that in more detail. Suffice to say, you know you're in a bear market when even big players like DCG are struggling. But back to Barry. As you can imagine, when the FUD started flying around Genesis and DCG in the wake of FTX's collapse, many looked to DCG's big cheese for some reassurance. Well, on Twitter, where he has over 750,000 followers, Barry was rather circumspect, only retweeting posts from DCG, Genesis, and Grayscale. Even the retweeting stopped on the 19th of November, however. He did publish a letter to investors last week, which sought to allay their worst fears, but also confirmed that DCG was carrying $2 billion in debt, albeit set against revenues of $800 million a year. We can only presume he's too busy behind the scenes to be out there front and centre dispensing copium. Now, what's interesting, though, is that Barry is, in fact, something of a mystery. His Twitter account is overwhelmingly a retweeting platform, with personal musings few and far between. There's also the fact that info on him in general isn't all that easy to come by these days. Look him up on Wikipedia, for instance, and you get not much. That is a little bit odd for someone so wealthy and so influential, don't you think? He does have a LinkedIn, which helped with some of the background for this piece, and there's no shortage of articles that mention him and even the occasional video, but he's remarkably less visible than some of the other big beasts in the space. Perhaps he's decided to become more of a shrinking violet since last May, when he incurred the wrath of the Dogecoin community by suggesting Doge was way overvalued and revealing that he'd shorted it. Trust me, once a loud and passionate crypto community gets on your back, a holiday from all forms of social media becomes a very tempting prospect. But perhaps we shouldn't get on Barry's back too much for being the shy and retiring type. After all, SBF was quite the opposite and, well, look how he turned out. Alex Majinsky was never slow to share his opinions when Celsius was thought to be legit, while Do Kwon was once a keyboard warrior par excellence. Sometimes those hogging the limelight are often wrong uns hiding in plain sight. But one thing is concerning about Barry, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that we don't really seem to know all that much about him. It's more the fact that he, perhaps more than anyone, epitomizes the interconnectedness of much of this industry. DCG's influence extends throughout cryptocurrency, and as we've seen, contagion from one toxic entity tends to spread very quickly when things start going wrong. So, we have to hope that DCG's empire has been built and run with a heck of a lot more care than FTX's was. Not, admittedly, that difficult. Because if DCG goes south...
You'd think a brain tumour was a birthday present.
So, Barry Silbert, ladies and gentlemen, a man who may not be as colourful a character as many in this wonderful industry, but arguably wields more power than almost anyone else. Bar CZ, of course. As my mum likes to say, though, sometimes it's the quiet ones you've got to watch out for.